Hi, AP Scholars, it's Mrs. McGeehan. I just wanted to follow up from our Zoom sessions this week on Monday and Tuesday with a quick overview of a few things that I said I would follow up on. In this video, I want to talk briefly about creative opportunities to include Scholastic Art and Writing Competition and the Barbaric Yawp, and then a couple of others. And I also want to go over what we're going to be doing with Frederick Douglass's narrative in the weeks to come, in case any of you would like to get a jump start on that. So first, I'm going to head over to our Schoology page to show you around a couple of things there. I'll see you in a second. Hi everyone, I'm over here in our Schoology course, and I wanted to direct your attention once again to the course materials and resources folder. In there, I have a link to this creative expression opportunities web page that I maintain. I've spoken with all of you about it before, but I want to just remind you that it's here. The very first links up here deal with the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. We've also talked about this before, and I said that typically I require my students to create a piece that is submission worthy for the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. But this year, I simply wanted you to be aware of it, and I know some of you are working on a couple of projects on your own, and I'm happy to work with you on those. That deadline for Carlisle School District is coming up when we return from Thanksgiving break. So you'll need to submit your work by Friday, December 4th. And I will give you more details about how to submit that after we return, but you can be working on your pieces over this break if you wish. There are a few other awards that are associated with the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition, so you may want to check those out to see if what you're working on might fit into those categories or those descriptions as well. The other opportunity I wanted to share with you is this Barbaric Yawp opportunity. It is Carlisle High School's published anthology of student writing. You can check out the PDF version of last year's publication if you'd like, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it is all about if you've never heard of it. And you can also click here to see a flyer for it. Mr. Fonestock works on this publication, and he is asking for submissions also on Friday, December 4th. So it aligns with Scholastic's deadline, with our district's Scholastic's deadline. And if you are considering submitting to Scholastic, I think the whole point is that you should consider also submitting your work to Yawp. So go ahead and click on that link if you would like additional information about that. You can also just continue scrolling down. There is the 2021 MLK project and showcase that is now available here as well. So you can take a look at that project and see if you'd like to submit any work for that. I spearhead that project, so if you have any questions or if you'd like to participate in that or you'd like me to look at any work, you're more than welcome to. Finally, the other one I would draw your attention to is this PBS American Portraits project. WITF is partnering with PBS American Portrait Project right now in December coming up to do a local edition of this. So they are looking for teachers and students across the central Pennsylvania region to submit very brief videos that talk about the last several months kind of during life in a pandemic. So if this sounds interesting to you, please check out that project as well. Poetry Out Loud is going to be all virtual this year, meaning that students will submit videos of themselves reciting their poems. If you're unfamiliar with Poetry Out Loud, you can check it out here, and there will be more information to come after in the next couple weeks from your English teacher, which is your old pal, Mrs. McGeehan. So I'll be in touch about Poetry Out Loud. There are lots and lots and lots of other opportunities here if you want to take a look at those, but I did want to highlight the few that are really coming up pretty quickly here for us. The other thing I wanted to do for you today in this video is just give you an overview of where we're headed with Frederick Douglass. And really just to go over that long-term assignment that we're going to be working on in case you wanted to get a jump start on it. So to get to that, if you come to the Unit 3 Rhetorical Analysis Frederick Douglass folder, you can find that I uploaded the packet, for less of a better term, but the analysis journal, a digital format for it. And the first two sections deal with the preface and the letter that we discussed in our Zoom sessions on Monday and Tuesday this week if you were able to attend. I might suggest taking care of those sections right now while those pieces are fresh in your mind. However, I will make the deadline for that not until after break. So you'll have a chance to work on that after break as well so that you can kind of step away completely if you wish. I did just want to go over this assignment with you so that you have a sense for what we're doing with the narrative. So the background, although he essentially taught himself or stole opportunities to have others teach him how to read and write, Douglass is quite a fine rhetorician or rhetor or orator or speaker. His autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, is naturally a personal account of his life from slavery to freedom. It was also, however, a powerful argument for the anti-slavery movement, as we've already seen in the preface materials. As such, it provides an excellent practice in the art of rhetorical analysis. So for your reading of the text, we're largely going to be focusing on rhetorical analysis, as we've been discussing the last couple weeks. So in order to strengthen your skills of rhetorical analysis and to allow you to become more acquainted with the terms and techniques often associated with rhetorical analysis, those would be the terms on the list that I provided you with last week. Your reading of Douglass's narrative will be centered on the rhetorical situation. That is, I will ask you to pay particular attention to Douglass as the writer, his position, his role, his background, his audience, his purpose, the exigence, and the context, and how these things interact with one another. Additionally, you'll be focusing largely on the rhetorical moves Douglass utilizes to reach his intended audience and achieve his intended purpose throughout. So your directions for this ongoing analysis journal are these. As you read Frederick Douglass, as you read his narrative, keep a reading journal, which is this document that I'm highlighting for you here, that focuses primarily on the rhetorical moves you see Douglass using and your thoughts about why he uses these techniques and what effects they create. Try to be as analytical and thoughtful about this as possible, and we'll practice these together as we move on, and include as much analysis as you are able. Choose your passages thoughtfully and with purpose, and when applicable, attempt to incorporate words or phrases from the list of rhetorical and literary terms that I provided you with last week. As you scroll down, you'll start to get into the assignment itself, and as a framework for approaching your reading for the text, I would ask that you follow this before you read, as you read, and after you read approach. So before you read, you should preview the questions that correlate to each chapter or section, because this will kind of shape how you read each chapter. You'll see that not necessarily for the preface here or for the letter, but when you get down into the chapters, you'll see questions that come at the start of each of your readings. So you'll want to preview those questions prior to actually reading the chapter itself. As you read, I'd like you to use the chart that I've provided for each chapter to record and respond to any noteworthy passages. This is where your rhetorical analysis is really going to come in. So you're going to focus on the rhetorical moves that Douglass makes and analyze their effects within the text. So when I talk about effects, I mean, how do the rhetorical moves that he is making support his intended purpose or help him to speak to his intended audience? There are always 5 spaces provided in the rhetorical analysis chart for each chapter. However, you should be recording and analyzing a minimum of 3 lines or passages per chapter. So you do not need to necessarily fill in all of these spaces as you get down into these charts with the page number, the quotation, and then your analysis. You should be striving to analyze and record and analyze at least 3 lines or passages per chapter. Of course, if you want to go beyond that, you're more than welcome to use the spaces provided and even add your own if you need to. Then after you read, there will always be a journal response at the end of each chapter. And largely, I'm going to ask you to contemplate a quotation from that chapter. You can respond to that quotation. You can interpret the quotation. In other words, give it an interpretation in your own words. What is Frederick Douglass saying in the quotation or the line that I pulled out? Or you can make connections to the quotation, meaning you can talk about how that quotation is significant within the chapter, how it maybe connects to other moments in the text, how it connects to some of the larger themes that we're thinking about and talking about, and maybe how it even connects to the world you see around you today. So as you scroll down, you'll see that each chapter is set up in the very same way, except for these first two, which deal with the preface, and then also with the letter. And for these, I don't have any reading questions. We discussed these in our meetings on Monday and Tuesday. However, I do ask that you take a look at and pull out at least 3 rhetorical moves that the authors are making in these sections. And then they each do have a journal. So both of them focus on the same things. What is the purpose of this preface? For the letter, it's what is the purpose of this letter? And how do the writer's rhetorical moves support this purpose? Be specific and provide at least 2 rhetorical moves that Garrison or Phillips make and how they support his purpose, how those moves support his purpose. When you get down into the chapters, again, you'll see that each chapter is set up the same with the reading questions, the analysis chart, and a journal that will help you reflect on the chapter. So I'm providing all of this for you right now. For those of you who think, you know what, I have some additional time over break, I am going to start reading the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, and now you have this in front of you in case you'd like to start actually working on it as well. That might just alleviate some of the work that you have between our Thanksgiving break and then winter break, and might just free up some of your time during the weeks in between these 2 breaks as you work through other course materials as well. All right, everyone, I hope that you have a wonderful break. You have the option to kind of step away completely from my class if you wish, or you have the option to be working on the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass and this analysis journal, or any of those creative opportunities that I highlighted at the beginning of this video. Take care, everyone. Stay well and be in touch if you need.